Hello everybody, it's Sean Milburn with Milburn Motorsports once again today. Here to bring to you round 2 United States Touring Car Championship at Sonoma Raceway. It's going to be me and my dad this time around. So last time we had my brother in the RSX, this time my dad's in the RSX. So I'm really happy to be going racing with him. And we had a really good weekend. So a couple of things happened we'll go through. I didn't get too much footage outside of the car with my phone. You know, walking around the paddock as I normally do. We were really busy just working on the cars. I'll run through a couple of things that happened. So on Saturday, I'll show a clip very shortly here in qualifying. Something happened in qualifying with my car, and something happened in qualifying with his car. Don't have the footage from his car, but he had a power steering failure. So we ran around all day looking for a power steering pump. Eventually found one. We got his car back in shape, back in action for the race on Sunday. And so I have the footage from his race on Sunday. He had an awesome race. I had an awesome race on Sunday, but I'm not going to spoil anything else. Let's just get into it. I'll show you guys the footage on what's going on. I'll do a voiceover and fill you guys in. So let's get to it. Alright, so here we are for qualifying. Coming down the back straight through turn 11 here. And this is going to be the start of my first qualifying lap. I am on the tires I will be racing on. So normally for these qualifyings, I only like to do a couple of laps, and I know my competition's strong, so I have to see a good lap time. I really want to start on the front row because my launches in the race are so good. I don't want to be held up by people in front of me. I don't want to have to try and make a move by them like I had to do in the previous video at Thunderhill where I had to squeeze the wall. I'm going to try and avoid that this time around. The tires feel excellent. I'm having a really good start to this lap, and I'm hoping that Genesis in front of me is going to be able to keep some pace up so I won't catch him at any point in this lap. I do have a couple second gap here, so he should be able to stay away. Car's feeling really balanced, really smooth. You can see the way it moves around here. I have to make a little bit of correction, but nothing too crazy, which is exactly how you want the car set up. I found a good setup for Sonoma Raceway in this thing now that they've had the repave and everything's so flat and not bumpy anymore. And the car's responding to it really well. So it's getting a little concerning here. I am catching the Genesis, and as I come through 8A, I do realize I am going to catch him through turn 9. But I don't like going for these passes in 10. There's no reason to try this, so I'm gonna fall in behind. This is gonna shave quite a bit of time off. It's gonna make it so that I'll probably have to try for another lap here. Problem being, I do have more cars in front of me, but I do know the car in front of me is out of class. He is in a faster class, so I'm really hoping at least he will be able to stay where he is up there and I won't catch him. So we're gonna go for another one here. This one was a 56.1, very solid lap for this class, or 46.1 I should say, sorry, 46.1, very solid lap for this class. But I am already seeing in my lap timer that I'm going faster than my previous. And this sector was already fast before. And I know going through turn 10, that delta is going to shave a lot of time. So as long as I can hold the same pace as I did last lap, I should be looking at a low 55 here. Maybe a 54 or a 44. Sorry, I'm used to saying 50 because that used to be the old times in sportsman cars was in the 50s. But now in touring cars, we're in the 40s. We're going significantly faster. Especially with this repave. Repave is about 2.5 to 3 seconds. It's a lot of time on the repave. The track feels so good. And I am not catching the car in front of me. This is really promising. Huge time gain through turn 10 there. And at this point, it's looking like 144. I see the yellows flying, and I'm like, oh God, please just keep going. Just keep going, go. Okay, we all see the incident, and everyone checks up super hard. Yeah, that was really unfortunate. I would have just pulled it in this lap and been satisfied with that time. But we're going to have to try and wait for another lap now. So we're just going to take this one chill. Going to try and sort ourselves out through traffic, and I'll see you on the next hot lap here. Alright, so this is the next lap. Coming through turn 6. I do see some cars in front of me. They are moving slower, but I am up so much on my time. Here, I hit the brakes. Ice modes. And I couldn't make it by. I was left with really nowhere to go. Yeah, if we run that back, I couldn't have stayed out to the left because I would have just ran it into his rear bumper. So I tried to go inside and I just couldn't quite make it. I had already eaten up so much room there. And so I'm just going to bring the car and got to look at the damage. Ended up being I had damage on the door. Yeah, I felt really bad about that one. That should not have happened. It really just should not have happened. But yeah, I had to look. Damage on the door, but the car still ran okay. I do have this photo of the damage. As you can see, it did hit the rocker on the bottom. The door's kind of pushed in. Behind the door's a little pushed in. I'm thinking I can probably push the door out, and behind the door out there is space for me to do it. I'm going to need to get some new trim, replace the wrap, replace the decals. That rocker is going to be a problem. Still not sure what the solution is going to be for that. For now, it is just cosmetic, and I am just going to run next race in a couple weeks with this damage. I can't open my door, but everything still works perfectly fine. The car's not mechanically damaged. So we're just going to run it, and I'll figure it out later. But again, yeah, it's really unfortunate. Should not have happened. I went over and apologized to the other driver. His car, thankfully, was not really hurt at all. Kind of just scuffed up his rim. Didn't really bend anything, which is surprising. I did get it slowed down enough, but not enough to prevent damage. So, yeah, these things happen. This hasn't happened to me before, ever. I've never just ran into another car like that. And I hope to never do that again in the future. It was because my brake pads were running too low. I was, again, the car is pretty fresh to me. I didn't know I can't run my brake pads down. I was going to change them after this qualifying session and put some new ones on. But now I know for the future, once I get about half pad, I need to be changing my brake pads so that the ABS doesn't just give up like that. This E36 ABS is really, really bad. It's the worst part about this car. And I'll need to remember that for the future. Alright, here we are moving on to the race, starting on the front of the grid, exactly where I was hoping to. Alongside Reza, he chose the right side. He is on pole. But I am right next to him on the left side, and I'm sure I'm going to get a better launch here. This car launches like crazy. Green flag, great launch. And I stick it in 5th gear. Need to loop it back to 3rd. That did eat pretty bad. I mean, I still can clear turn 2, but it is not as good of a run as I was hoping it would be up to turn 2 here. And looking in my mirrors, it does appear that Reza is right behind me. He did not get hung up by the Genesis behind him. So he is on the chase on his brand new tires. I'm on my tires from last race at Thunder Hill. He decided to use slicks. Last race, it was determined that since it was a rain race, the tires you use do not count towards your race as a part of the season. So he opted for fresh tires this time around. I did not. I'm on my sim ones. So I know he's going to have the grip edge on me. My goal is to just pull them off as long as possible up front. I know he's going to have the pace to get around me here. And it's just a matter of time. And then I'm just going to have to keep as close to him as possible. So let's just see what happens here. Good moving into turn 7. My tires do feel really good. It doesn't feel like I'm super down on grip. It's not like these tires are bad, they're just not completely optimal like they are new. Still got people running through the field behind, but as long as they're not catching up, it's going to be good. Reza chooses the outside here, I choose the inside. For obvious reasons, I want to defend into this hairpin. I opt for second gear. I thought he was going to squeeze me tight, but he doesn't. So when I have to put it back into third, it gives him plenty of room to run it up next to me. I cannot hold this. He's just going to have more pace from that outside line since his corner speed was higher from that outside. And I selected the wrong gear. I should have left it in third, but again, I was anticipating him holding me in tight. So now that he's by, it's just about not letting him get away. I just have to stay close enough, not challenge him, and hope he can drive the front tires off of that car. I know it's going to take some time for that to happen since they are fresh tires. And let's hope he doesn't stretch the lead too far. Looking in my mirrors, doesn't appear to have anyone behind me to worry about currently. Me and Reza are outpacing the field, it seems. There will likely be, super touring car behind me. That's going to be Bo Borders. That BMW is a class above us, and he's just going to have to wait, honestly. We're racing for first here in class. He's got a massive gap to the guy behind him, so he's just going to have to figure it out, really. I'm not too worried about letting him by. I need to make sure I don't lose any time here. You see Rez on the exit of 7 there, so strong on that power. That Civic Type R can really move when it's got the front end grip. I'm able to keep up speed in the S's. And as always, I'm playing turn 10 safe. I could squeeze a few more miles an hour there, but it's really just not worth it. I do have the pace to be able to stay close enough to him without having to stretch turn 10. So I opt not to. Turn 10 is probably the most dangerous corner on Sonoma Raceway. You really got to watch for it. It's where all of the massive collisions, all of the massive injuries come from. And you can see Reza has stretched a decent gap here. I'm a couple seconds behind now. And since I am on older tires, it takes a sec for these things to come in. The first couple laps, they have grip, but they're not optimal. And then once you get a couple laps out of them, they start to hook up a bit better. So I'm looking at my AIM Solo 2 lap timer, watching my delta, and seeing when it is that my optimum time is going to be to actually start pushing on these tires. Right now I'm pretty comfortable with where I'm sitting. I don't feel like I need to be pushing to get up on him. Bo decides to pass me in 7. I don't lose too much time from that move. Maybe a couple tenths, but that's better than him going for it somewhere that's super suboptimal. I'll take that, honestly. Hopefully he catches Reza in turn 11 here and forces Reza along the outside. If he does do that, it's going to be pretty good for me because while I lost time there, it means Reza's going to lose time in 11. But we'll see if he can make that happen. Looks like Bo's a little too far away to actually try that. I do run a cool box in this car, but unfortunately the fuse popped while I was sitting on the grid waiting to come out onto the track, so I don't have cold water going to my suit right now. We needed to put a bigger fuse in there. But I'm used to racing without one, so it's not the biggest deal. It's not like we're at Buttonwillow where it's 100 degrees. One of the things about this car that's really cool is the temps really don't ever get too high. It's very beneficial. We can see them there on that digital dash. It reads my oil pressure, water temperature, and oil temperature. So I always have an eye on that. There's also the big red light up on the right of the center console, you can see there. If that comes on, that means that I'm either losing oil pressure or I'm overheating in one of those two categories. So it's good to watch it on the straightaway here, just to make sure nothing is crazy going on with the car. If you lose oil pressure, it happens fast, so you gotta keep your eyes on your gauges, guys. We're gonna go to my dad's start of the race now. So we're actually running 2 point of views this time. He gets a good launch in his front wheel drive car. Except he puts it in 5th as well, so like father, like son, both sticking it in 5th gear off their gate. But he actually manages to stay ahead at the front of his pack as well. So all the cars you see in front of him here, these are all out-of-class cars, either touring cars or super touring cars. Big slide going into turn 2 there. He's running on very suboptimal tires as well. They're a set of tires from last year. They are not new. So it's also going to take a sec for his tires to come in as well. Now his goal here is he doesn't really want to mingle with those cars up front. There's no reason for him to start racing out of class. All he's got to do is make sure the cars behind him stay where they are. Running out front is a different game than running behind someone. One, you don't really have anyone to follow. You have to make all your own decisions. And 2, you have to avoid stuff like this where people just pass you along the outside. That's Pete Bovenberg. That's going to be our man to watch for this race. Tom Milburn's primary competition here. Both of them running front wheel drive Hondas. Love to see the Honda racing. I love Honda racing. And you can see Pete kind of blew it wide there. So my dad thinks about moving around the outside here, but if he stays here alongside, Pete's just going to chop him off here. But he does manage to get it done. Pete cannot stay alongside of him, so good job on Pete trying to get by my dad there. Can't quite make it done, but I'm sure there'll be plenty of future opportunities throughout this race to do that. A little bit of lifting coast action into 10 here. My dad has not raced in quite a few years. I have been giving him a lot of pointers on how to get himself back up into shape. Kind of goes a little wide on 11 here, but does end up making it work. Pete's not able to take advantage of that. And he's no stranger to racing this car. This is his car after all. He does know it. When I've been driving it the past few years, I did really help develop it and make this thing faster. So this thing is way faster than when he used to drive it. Holding 4th gear through turn 2 there. Not normally something I do. I like to go in 3rd gear there, but 4th gear does look valid if you can hold the speed. I haven't driven the RSX on the new surface, but 4th gear was actually looking good there. What was also cool is that my dad and Pete, they were both running a 154.7, 154.6, right around there, which is a pretty decently good sportsman time. When me and Brad Austin were racing, we were doing like 52s. Pete goes around the outside of turn 6 here. But we'll see if my dad can hold it around the outside of 7. This is always tricky trying to control the outside pocket, especially on a corner that's so wide. And it looks like Pete's going to edge him out here. So my dad submits, gives it up, and now falls in behind Pete. Gives a lot up in turn 8A there. You can see how much Pete pulls away from that. But honestly, excellent job from my dad being so new to racing again. Shaking that rust off, getting back into the swing of things. He only had a couple practice sessions. And the fact that he's able to hold pace up with the front runner is a really good sign. And of course, both of these guys, they do have a field also behind them currently, looking for pockets. But I think they're just far enough away right now to where they're not going to be able to make a move. So he can just focus on laying down some times here. We have a car off on that right-hand side. Looks like one of the sportsman cars had an issue. Had to pull it off. Pulled it off in a nice safe area so they don't have to throw any flags or impede the race by any means. So thank you to that driver for pulling off. Now we are in for a ride on this video, guys. There's a long way to go here. I'm doing a dual POV, both my dad's race and my race. If you guys want to see these separated into 2 separate races in the future, just doing both cars on their own, I can certainly do that. I just figured if I show you guys all the meat and potatoes of the action, what's really going on, it's better racing for you guys to watch. But let me know. Always let me know what you guys want to be seeing out of these videos. So Pete has stretched a decent gap, but my dad's really strong on the brakes. That's somewhere he's always been really good, is in the braking zones. So he's able to close that up pretty well. Looks like Pete's also struggling on his exits. Pete normally has transmission issues, so that could be something we see this time around. We know in practice he was having problems, and it's something my dad could be taking advantage of here. He knows Pete's going to be having a problem. There's no reason for him to press too hard to make a pass. There's still plenty of race to go, and if anything does happen and Pete brakes, that's an automatic pass there, and he can continue running. So we'll see how my dad plays it here. Again, makes up that whole margin, so now he's right behind him. He did shave off quite a bit of time getting this gap back. Looks a little bit hesitant on the throttle, looks towards the inside, but Pete moves across his nose, squeezes him towards the wall. He really didn't have too much room up that inside there, so he did not opt to go next to Pete. Pete's really aggressive, and my dad knows that. He's been racing with him for years. So not opting for that pass is good with the current strategy we're under. Is just follow him around, see if he brakes, and if he doesn't brake, try and make something happen towards the end of the race. He's still got plenty of time, and he's in a perfect position for being able to make a move if he needs to. Random piece of crud flying by, not sure what that was. Looked like a part drop from a different car. You can see the turn 6 corner speed difference, how far Pete is away from that line. His car is still holding, so whatever tires Pete has on the car, it's definitely holding grip. Looks like my dad just simply cannot make that same corner speed that Pete is holding there. But again, making it up on the brakes. That's one of the things the RSX has not been good at through most of its life, is trail braking. Trail braking in this car mostly just causes it to push. It does not like you turning and braking at the same time. Opposite to my BMW loves it, so that's been something I've had to get used to through changing from both cars. But it still does brake well in a straight line, and we have the car set up now to where you can rotate it with your turn-in input. So if my dad does need the car to rotate, he can always use the steering wheel for that. A lot of front-wheel drive cars, they just tend to push when you're providing wheel input to them. And that's always the hardest part, is figuring out how to get the rear end to move on these cars. We're going to switch it back while my dad's having his race. I'm still chasing down Reza here as we're coming through the S's. Looks like Bo is still trying to find his way around Reza. He's right up on him now. So it looks like I'm going to get what I wished for, is a pass in turn 11. As Reza runs it too wide off of 10 there. That's a terrible spot to go too wide off of. Never want to run it wide off of 10. Bo does go for that pass, leaving Reza wide, but he does get a strong run on that exit. So not too much time loss from Reza either. I would say both of us got impeded very similarly. So probably net zero on both of our losses or gains from an overtaking car. I'm getting a little concerned about this gap between us. This is a little bit farther away than I'd hoped for. But my tires are still feeling good, and as I'm looking at my Delta here, this is actually my most optimal time of the race to be pushing. My tires are in their optimum range, temperature, pressure range. I can see it on the Deltas on my timer, so this is where I really start to pick up my pace to try and close this gap back up. I'm really closing up these distances in the corners and entries and the braking. Let's see what I can do through the back sector here, sector 3. I've closed up my gap considerably, and I'm thinking it's either because my tires are in their optimum range or his are falling out of his optimum range. With a front-wheel drive car, you're always going to run into the problem of overheating your front tires, since they're doing everything. They're providing the power, they're braking, and they're turning, sometimes at the same time. So, really tough in that regard. Res opts for the inside here on this, overtaking this car. I'm going to look around the outside just because that's the area I chose. Doesn't impede me too badly. I did lose a little bit of time from that, but it's nothing I'm too concerned about. My turn 1 is really strong. I can leave my foot in this for a long time. No brakes up the hill here, just a double downshift. We get it all the way over this rumble strip in turn 2. And I've already closed up that time. Sector 1 let me close up that gap very considerably, only about a second behind now. This is exactly where I want to be, and hopefully I can just sit right here. It's just going to be up to Reza to make a mistake at this point. I'm just going to await, letting his tires fall off, see if he drives through them, and keep my tires in check, make sure I'm not sliding too much, not asking too much out of them. You can see the way the car moves here through turn 7 as I return to the throttle and neutralize the steering wheel. I'm loving the JRZ suspension I put on this vehicle. When I first got it, it had blown out shocks, and I didn't realize it till I got some different suspension on it. How much better that was going to be. It took us almost a year to set up this car to where it is now. We used all of last season to get it to where it is, and it's been performing extremely well. Cannot say enough good things about this car. Still sitting in the pocket right where I want to be. I'm going to see how much time I can gain up this hill. Up through turn 2. Reza runs it a little wide through 2, so this should allow me to close a little more room, which I do. And now the gap is fully closed. This is where I can start looking to make a move. I was thinking about trying to make a move in 6 here, but I opt not to, just because there's no real point in me doing so. Nothing was going to come of that. Slow moving traffic gets out of the way, doesn't impede either of us at all, so we can keep it moving. Good awareness by that driver. You can see just how even these two cars are. I knew this was going to be tough going into this race with me not being on fresh tires. But Reza runs it wide in 11 here. This is my chance. Holding it tight, leaving him room over on the left-hand side. And now it's just going to be a drag race up the hill. Making sure to leave him plenty of room. He still does have that inside space earned, so I cannot move over. Leaving in this kink here, leaving him space. And it looks like I will be able to clear him up this hill. So we come up and over, double downshift, hog the turn 2 berm, and that's clear. Taking first position back. And we're going to see what we can do to run away now. While I'm busy wheeling away with Reza, my dad is still battling it out with Pete. They are now coming up on some slower moving traffic as well. Let's see how this plays out. Both of them get by clean. Good rotation out of the RSX on that entry. Can hold that power towards the exit. Good short shift by my dad. You do want to be short shifting in this section in this car. The gears are really close. Final drive ratio is pretty short. So there's no point running out in 4th gear here when you're still in VTEC in 5th gear. Running him down once again, but really nowhere to go with it. Again, he's playing for attrition. We are up on the later stages of this race though. He overslows going over turn 2. He's going to look to make something of this, but decides against it. Could have tried to push that outside, but not really worth it. See, my dad is having to hold up quite a bit here. If he were to run any faster, he would just be running it up on Pete way too close. So if he can just sit right here for the whole race, he'll be in really, really good shape. Now both of them are diving the inside here. This is not exactly how you want to take this corner. I think my dad was just following Pete into that because Pete was playing defensive there. And this time he's able to get a great run around the outside. Headed into turn 1. And that's Pete cleared. So dad running P1 now. Got around that car, and with his pace he should be able to just out-maintain. Not quite though, as Pete does make his move around 6 yet again. It does seem to be the area where he can get by that really easily. So even though my dad had an overtake there, not quite able to make it done all the way through to the end, he's still got room to go. We're coming up upon 3/4 of the race done here. So this is why my dad's starting to make some moves. He knows that Pete's car is holding up. And if he's going to take first position, he's going to need to earn it now. He's really going to have to run him down and get it done for real. Again, Pete playing super defensive there. My dad was in no position to challenge that. And all Pete does is slow himself down, coming out of 11 here. This should be another excellent run to my dad. Let's see if he goes and opts for the outside line this time. Looks like he slows up. He doesn't make anything from that run. Appears he's still playing it safe. We do see some dust up at the top of turn 2 there, so something happening. Someone laying dust all over the track. No yellow flag, so it seems everything's clear. You can see the dirt being picked up there. My dad tries to do the same thing and try and get on the power sooner, but the car seems to just move out wide there, likely due to the tires not being completely optimal. Pete going defensive again in turn 7. I guess he's recognized how strong this car is on the brakes, but he's completely compromises his own corners there, allowing my dad to get right back up onto his bumper here. A little bit of lockup going on as my dad tries trail braking it in there. Experiencing the RSX trail braking experience of using the brake and the steering wheel and just pushing absolutely wide. Looks like he's going to try and make an inside run there. Pete closes the door yet again. Oh, missed shift by Pete. Can't compromise from it. He's looking desperate to try and make something happen here. My dad looks for the inside of 4. It's not really a good spot to pass. Turn 4 is always a bait for passing. Since your apex so late on that corner, it kind of looks like there's a pocket there, but there really never is. It mostly just ends up with both cars hitting each other. Passing lap traffic again. Doesn't impede any of the drivers. Oh, my dad gets a super strong run out here. Drives around the outside. Clears that pass. And is running strong into 7. So with that pass done, he's able to keep it running, keep it moving, and start to pull a gap on Pete. Looking a little later on in the race here towards the end. Sees me come by, lets me have some space there to go up the inside of 5, so thank you for that. And of course, right behind me is going to be Reza, allows Reza to have his own space around the outside, trying not to impede either of us. That'd be really punk. It's something you see sometimes in these mixed class series where cars will block for each other if they're out of class on the same team, but we don't play that way. That's no way to play out here. Watch the same thing from my perspective. Rose is still trying to chase me down. I don't opt for the inside of 4 here. And I'm just going to make it happen as we're going into 5. I got plenty of power to get around him. And so after passing the field, I knew my dad was in first place because he was the last car in the sportsman class that I had passed, meaning he is the first in sportsman class. And as I go by my dad, he realizes that I'm beating Reza currently, and I'm in first position in my class, and we're really close to the end of the race here. So if we can both just hold this out, we're looking like a first for Milburn Motorsports. Would be the first time this has ever happened. Here I can see the white flag waving. All I have to do is not scuff this last lap and we have it. Coming up on another sportsman car here. He brakes, he knows I'm coming. Doesn't really impede me much at all. I'm playing it super safe this lap. I have enough of a gap build to Reza, car behind. to not have to do anything silly. The only way I throw this away is if my car breaks, which in 2022 that was notorious on the white flag lap, something happening and the car breaking. This car has been really reliable in that aspect. I haven't had anything happen to it, knock on wood. Alright, final corner, brake nice and early. And that's going to be the race. That's the final corner. I got these across the line.
Let's go! Yes! Yes! Woo! Holy shit! Wow! Oh my god! Yes!
Sean has 2 trophies. Oh.
You don't need to leave. Get back over there.
Uh-oh.